Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 181, an interview with Bitwave Games with me, George, and this week joined by Andreas. Bitwave, to my wave to the person who I thought was waving at me, but was actually waving at the person behind me. Andreas, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. We just released a bunch of games, so that's awesome. And but the weather could have been better.
You can never guarantee the weather.
Never ever.
So let's get stuck in. Obviously, as I explained to you, and I'm sure you've listened to thousands, 180 of our episodes to this point. But when we bring on a guest, we incorporate them into the very fabric of the show. So it's only right and proper I ask you, what have you been playing? And what games have you been delving into this week?
Oh, actually, I started a new game yesterday. I started to play Sea of Stars.
Yes. Now this has appeared in my feeds. It's part of I've seen it on the Switch, which is my current new love affair. But I've also seen it's part of the premium free games on PS5 at the moment, which is a real joy. It looks fantastic. Tell me your experience with it.
Oh, I haven't played that many hours so far, but it really reminds me of like the good old RPGs that you could play on like the SNES back in the day. And the pixel art it's just gorgeous, and it feels like it's quite simplistic in its mechanics, which I can appreciate, since I don't really have that much time to play games. Ironically.
Well, there's a saying here in the UK called the butcher's dog. You'd imagine the butcher's dog would be well fed and everything like that, but normally it's an underfed hound that's struggling to get from one meal to the next. Now, I'd imagine that your life in the industry is a little bit like that. You talk and help create and push games all day long.
All day long.
And then when you get home, you haven't really got any time to game. It's almost like a definition of hell that you find yourself in, Andreas.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I still enjoy playing games, but funny enough, since I started to work in the games industry, I found like new hobbies instead. So I'm a big fan of photography, for example. It gives me like a reason to go outside.
Is that your main medium in your photography hobby? Is it sort of exterior shots or plants or animals? Wait, which rabbit hole are you bringing me down here?
Oh, I haven't really found my genre yet, but I'm very fond of like street photography. So like just strolling around in the city with the camera and just like take photos of random stuff like buildings, people, just stuff that just happening. I find that very relaxing.
Wow. Okay. So Sea of Stars put to one side, and may I say, great choice. I've watched the trailer, and just the isometric climbing sections in that I witnessed had me absolutely captivated. I was like, wow, they could have done this back in the day, but they didn't.
No.
But they're doing it now with all the modern ideas, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. So I might even treat myself to it on Switch. Why not?
Definitely, why not?
To the long-term listeners, for the longest time, I've had access to a Switch, but I've never really been that involved in it. And recently, my life has taken me between houses and on the go a little bit more. And having that bigger boy game in your hand has been quite the revelation. I was a PS Vita, don't know what the right word is really, Crusader, so Death by a Thousand Cuts fan of the Vita, and that kind of gave me that, but not really. Whereas the Switch really hits the note. We will get onto the Switch because obviously your wonderful games under the Bitwave banner have made it onto the Switch as well, which is wonderful news, which we'll get to. Other than a cursory glance at Sea of Stars, is there anything else that's piqued your interest this week?
Oh yeah, I really want to jump into Starfield. I read some of the reviews that just dropped, and I said that no, I'm not going to play Starfield because I don't really have the time, as said. But it got really good scores, you know.
They,
And
that's
I
been an ongoing narrative for us. It kind of needed to. I don't know where you sit, obviously, with your backside firmly planted in the industry, but Microsoft kind of needed to nail this out the gates. And as you say, it's starting to look like they did. Good news for them. What are you going to lose yourself this weekend to that?
probably either that or just continuing with my RPG. But we'll see. We'll see. I've downloaded it, so I'm ready.
You've preloaded it. Are you going to sit up till midnight tonight?
No, unfortunately, I have work tomorrow. You know, like life of an
Surely they would
so.
understand. Everyone's calling in sick tomorrow to Bitwave. Everybody got food poisoning.
Actually, like earlier this month, the studio turned 10 years. So we're going to
Wow.
have our big studio celebration tomorrow with lot of guests, like the gaming industry of Gothenburg.
Mm.
So that's why I feel that I need to be fresh.
Starfield's not going to get the best of you tomorrow night, though, is it?
No.
Saturday morning, waking up, a couple of cans stuck to your face, wondering what's going on in Starfield. I should imagine that would be an interesting experience, sort of finding out what you did in your drunken rampage when you came in through the door at goodness knows what time a Swedish man returns, a gentleman of Sweden returns home after a 10-year anniversary. Can you predict now the sort of state and time of your arrival back at home?
Oh, it will probably be super late. It's like you say like I'm going to have one beer, two beer tops, but
Yeah.
it's never two beers. It's never. It's probably like 10.
Well, at least you'll have something to nurse you through Saturday.
Oh, definitely.
Starfield with the volume down very low.
With the volume down.
Okay. Well, very quickly, I'll wrap up what I've been playing. I don't think it's really that much. Some Luigi's Mansion 3, which I've been thoroughly enjoying. Have you played that?
No, but I recently played the first one on the GameCube. I'm super into GameCube now. I'm like a massive fan of retro games,
Yeah.
and GameCube is like a system I had when I was a kid. But I like when you're a kid, you don't really have the money to buy games.
No.
So I actually never played the first game back in the day.
Mm.
Uh, so my plan is to finish it, jump on the DS, or was
Yeah.
it the DS? The
I
yeah.
think it was the 3DS where they got the second one. I think it was called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon or something like that.
Oh yeah. That makes sense. And after that, I will totally jump into the third one as well.
Perfect. Okay. Well, it's the entry's been lubricated for you. It's so accessible and it kind of flips things around a little bit, but it's still Luigi's Mansion all in all. And it's been a really great experience. I am stuck though. I don't know if any of the listeners can speak to this, but there's a section where you're using the Hoover to move you. I shouldn't call it the Hoover. I know it's got an official in canon name in the Luigi's Mansion universe, but bear with me. We're talking the Hoover, and you get in it's a water game. It's a water level, Andreas. We already know stress levels are up, and you have
Always.
and you have to maneuver yourself around an inflatable duck, and that's fine. But I've got to this section where you need to switch to Luigi, open this trapdoor, then some sharks run in, and I get what's probably known in the industry now as sort of OAP, old age pensioner gaming block. And I suck instead of blow. It sounds like I'm talking about a completely different industry here, but I suck instead of blow. I blow instead of suck. And every time I get absolutely butchered by these sharks, I'm almost done with the game. It's just this one section. Um, it is what it is. I think that might be all I've played. I think I've had a little sniff on what I call Switcher 3. If you're going to play The Witcher, Andreas, you better play it on the system that gives you the least graphical fidelity. I'm talking the Switch. But you can cross save to the PS5 and carry on playing there in all of its next gen goodness. So that's
Oh really? I
look at
actually
your face.
know.
You just sat bolt upright in your chair like an adrenaline shot straight to the heart. Yes, that's possible. Take the bigger
Really?
boy game on the go, play it in what I would call 10 alcoholic beverage condition, it kind of looks like you've had the 10th anniversary party and then you're playing Witcher 3. But if that graphical downgrade is okay, the rest of the game is fully in there. All the speech, all the full game environment that you've kind of been playing. And then when you get home, you can carry on playing it on your Switch if you really want to do that to yourself. Or you can just pick up the cloud save on PS5 and carry on. More games should do that. More games should. I think
definitely.
I have a similar experience on MLB. I know an Englishman who likes baseball. I am a walk-in paradigm, I would say, Andreas, but that's just me. And that will allow you to switch between the two. But all of a sudden, it's become one of my favorite Switch games, even though, as I say, compared to the PS5 version, it's the Bitwave 10th anniversary graphical mod. But you got to make the best of these things, haven't you? Good. So we've waxed lyrical about what we've been playing. And now we arrive at this section here where we're going to talk about Bitwave Games, the company that you are PR and community manager for, which is probably why when straws got drawn out of a cup, you were the one left with the smallest one. And I'm sorry for that, but thank you very much for coming on. We do appreciate it. A quick overview of your life, though, before we get carried away with all this Bitwave nonsense. I say nonsense, I don't mean nonsense, but let's just focus on you because you're quite the stealth star of the industry, if I may say. I was going to pronounce your last name, Goransson, or as you would say in the Swedish, Jörgensson.
Almost. That sounds more Danish. I don't know if I'm insulted, but...
Please don't be. Please don't be. Please don't be. I thought I'd give it a go. The good old college try.
You did great.
Went to kick the football, ended up on my backside. Got that winded feeling, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But let's not let that take away from you, because former IGN editor-in-chief and Eurogamer. Now, that's not just something that's throw away here. As soon as I saw that, I was like, hang on a minute now. Let's just wait, slow down. Tell me about your games journalism experience. And do you miss it?
I do. I miss it a lot. But in Sweden, Sweden is a small country where everyone speaks perfect English. So it's really hard to run gaming news media in Swedish because it's not really relevant. Everyone is reading the English stuff instead because that's often the news comes faster in English. So you cannot really make money out of it. It was more of like passion projects, I would say. So that's it's sad. I really miss it, but I don't regret jumping over to the dark side because we have cookies.
So you went from being, for all intents and purposes, a man that had an all-you-can-eat buffet of games, and then you decided, due to the Swedish people's Philistine-like attitude towards their own spoken dialect, you were going to go and be a one-game guy, a one-studio man.
Yeah. Well, it's quite funny because I started my journey at in community for Thunderful, which is more of a publishing house. When I started there, Thunderful was brand new. We were really small. We were 5 people in the publishing department. So we kickstarted everything, and I learned a lot. And then when I moved over to Bitwave, it was one studio with one game. And now Bitwave has grown a lot the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. Has it been 2 years? That's crazy.
Well, you tell me you're having your 10th anniversary tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, that staggers me. But yeah, you've been there 2 years. Been I don't want to get you sacked, but one would hope it's been a joyous experience in this part.
Oh yeah, it's been so much fun. When I started at Bitwave, the company was called Retroid Interactive.
I was going to ask you about that. What prompted that that name change? Was it that annoying little handheld that people are raving about that caused the name change, or was that something that happened when you got acquired by the Embracer Group?
No, I mean it's a combination of a lot of different things. Of course, we knew about Retroid Pocket, but that wasn't the only reason. We felt like, because like when Retroid started, it was like part game dev, part consultants for other companies,
Right.
and like IT consultants and graphical designers and UX designers for like non-gaming companies. But then when we got acquired, we were like, we want to do a fresh start because we want to make it clear that we have one focus now. So that's why we rebranded, and we felt like Bitwave felt retro-esque, and that's the goal because we love retro games. That's why we rebranded to Bitwave.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you rebranded, because it enabled me to do my joke about that awkward moment when someone waves at you and you think that they're waving at you, but they're actually waving. I don't know what I'd have done for Retroid. Probably something about hemorrhoids, if I'm absolutely honest, Andreas.
Actually, like Bitwave is a pun.
Is it? Tell me more.
Yeah, bit is like, like back in the day when with 8 bits and 16 bits and such. Yeah. And wave is because Gothenburg is close to the ocean.
You learn something new every day, don't you, you sneaky Swedes? I like what you've done there. I see. That makes sense to me now. Now, let's get stuck into the weeds, if we may. So, Retroid rebranded as Bitwave.
Yeah.
And were acquired by the Embracer Group.
Yeah.
Which were formerly THQ Nordic.
Yeah.
And then you've been picked up under the free mode team.
Yeah.
Your subdivision.
Yeah.
And how does that, because I see some other names in there like Limited Run and things like that. Is that like are you left to be almost self-autonomous? You kind of work towards, are the deadlines involved for you when you're bringing games to market at this end of the world of Embracer, or are you more free, as the grouping suggests?
I would say, like, I don't really know like the background story of the name, but like all the companies within Dream Mode are free to do what they want to do. So everyone is doing their own thing. And with that said, we also work a lot together. We work a lot together with a company called Clear River Games, which is a physical publisher, and they work a lot with limited run games.
Mm-hmm.
So we do our own thing, but we also we help each other.
Is that on a per project basis, or I mean, do you all share like a Slack team messaging system where you say, "Hang on a minute, we need a guy who's good at coding over here to do this, or can we send you this?" Or is it more on like as each of you comes up against a brick wall of a deadline you've committed to? How does that sort of moving of team members work?
I would say it's rather like knowledge sharing. Like if I find out how to do a certain thing, I might as well just share it with the others, because they might also need that information. So it's not like I do things for the other companies or that we borrow people. It's more like, pure knowledge sharing.
Just like an information sharing repository.
Yeah, and I think that's the strength with Embracer, that we are so many companies with different sizes that we can learn from each other, so that we help each other to reach success.
That's,
and I think that's a really nice thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's actually quite an interesting little nugget that we've pulled out there, that you're all sort of throwing information into this sort of core repository that someone at the thick end of Embracer Group could pull out and find useful in their next game, and they put something in that is available in the tube and you can pull out and use in your latest adventures, which I think that's certainly one of the pluses of being part of a major house like that.
Yeah, and it also gives us more like extra power when it comes to like attending events or like talking to partners and etc. etc. Like it's like being a small studio is hard, but being a small studio that is like part of something bigger makes life easier.
Because we met you, wonderful characters, at OLL. Now, to a man from Sweden, a out-of-season cattle market probably was quite the shock to the system at OLL. Great event, everything like that, set in obviously the Royal Norfolk Showground. But it's not your usual gig, is it? How did you find that? And was it a good experience? And did you find lots of people found interest in your stall, your stand?
Yeah, I mean, like I've been on a lot of gaming events, both as like a journalist, but also on the marketing community side of things. And I must say that OLL was like the best event I've ever been to. I think like it was like everyone was so friendly, everyone was so helpful. It was so the planning was excellent. So I would love to go again. And we met so many fantastic people. We met you guys, but we also met like a lot of fans. And I think that attending like smaller events that it's more focused on what we're doing is good, because that's really good for the brand. I think that kind of small event is better for us than attending, for example, like PAX, where we would just like drown.
Yeah, we've got someone attending PAX. I think it's this weekend. They'll be taking lots of notes, lots of photos, and all that good stuff, and we're reporting back on it. But as you say, it's quite the event. Whereas OLL, as we found, it was quite personal. You could get real one-on-one time with people. And as you say, if a fan comes along and they want to maybe pick your brains for 10, 15 minutes, you can give them that time. And I think that was the plus point of OLL. I think that they also looked after us well. We were constantly getting asked if we were okay, if we needed anything, obviously, because you're kind of trapped on your stand, aren't you, really? You can't really leave. You might be able to sneak away for a quick toilet break, but that's about it. So they were very kind, very helpful. I think we'll be there next year. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah. And I mean, like, we were so lucky, as a Swede. One of the best things was that we were close to the coffee. Because coffee is so important.
To be honest, I think when I die, it's literally going to take my body a couple of years to stop moving. I think the coffee, I probably died 6 months ago, and the coffee's actually got me to this point. I'm patient zero as far as I'm living proof that zombies are real. Okay, so part of the Embracer Group. Retro have been going 10 years, obviously under these different names.
Mm-hmm.
Since you've been there, what games have you kind of helped shuffle out the door, Andreas?
Oh, it's a bunch now. When I started, that was like the day before we launched the second update to our game Wunderling EX. So we released an update called Kohlrabi's Ruin, which added like a new ending and a lot of stuff. And then I had Wunderling for a whole year.
Wow, so you're kind of sick of it. I did want to ask you, Wunderling is an interesting concept where you're kind of like the enemy within that world, so to speak. But it's got some retro styling. You got to say one of the plus points about the game, the control input method, means that you could take it to your party tomorrow night, drink cans, and play Wonderling, because the Switch innovation is that you just use that one controller to move your character around the screen. Is that a plus point? Was that a marketing plus point for you?
It was. I mean, like, since you're playing the enemy and all you can do is jump and you can't really decide which direction you go, makes it very, very similar to a certain weak enemy in a certain game called Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
So the game has been called a Goomba simulator by many, which it is. So that has been like the number one pitch. This is a Goomba simulator. You can.
I don't think you're just normal Goomba and Wonderling, though. I feel like you're probably the big dude that has been hiding in the back. He's had some steroids and he's not shy of the gym. Is Wonderling? He's not just. He's not as one-dimensional as you make him out to be.
No, I mean, you're the Goomba, and you earn a lot of like new. I was. Oh no, I just forgot the English word. But yeah, you get stronger. You get more experience during the game. Blah blah blah. I mean, there, like in Super Mario, there are different forms of Goombas.
There are, yeah.
So that was actually like that was the main thing. And then when we rebranded, that was in conjunction with like the last update of Wonderling, when we renamed the game to Wonderling DX. So then we just focused on like, you are the evil guy, stop the hero.
Yeah. So Wonderling's out. You pumped that for a year. You were kind of sick of it. What was next? Gimmick?
It was Gimmick, and it was also the first volume of Toaplan games.
Okay. If we may, let's hang on Gimmick for a minute, because that's something that was a NES game in Japan. Yeah. And bizarrely, seeing as you're on, and I don't know whether this is any connection at all. I don't even know what's going on here. But bizarrely, I can't really find any information other than that it was released in Scandinavia. Is that the reason why you're into it, or is that just a mere coincidence?
This is the cute part of this story, because like back in 2013, when the studio was formed by my boss Nicholas, he started the studio because he wanted to do games similar to his favorite game of all time, a game called Gimmick. That's why he started the studio. So
he has got a love affair with this.
He has. So like, I think it was about a year ago, we found out that our sister company, Bitwave Games, they had signed a agreement to publish Gimmick Special Edition physical in Europe, and they needed a digital publisher. So Niklas said, "Let's go, let's do it. It's Gimmick."
Did he kind of sit bolt upright in his bed that day and say, "The only reason I was put on planet Earth is to get this a digital release. I realise now that this is me all in, and that's the only reason I existed"? Or does he see himself extending beyond his small Gimmick life?
Hopefully. No, but he was really excited. He actually called me like the day I was about to go on vacation. He said, "When you're back, we're going to announce that we are bringing Gimmick to modern consoles, so be prepared."
Is that something that really, you thought were like, "Oh my goodness, he's been supping on the gone off booze again"? Or did you think, "Wow, I can really get in"? Be honest with me now, because Gimmick's not exactly the most well-known game out there. I'm not decrying its gameplay, but it certainly is something that you would use to prop open a door, not realizing its value. And then all of a sudden you're on what I would call the hype train for Gimmick, and you're the engine driver, Andreas. How did that feel?
I was actually shit scared, like, because as a gamer who's really into retro games and from Sweden, I was aware of Gimmick's existence, because that's the mythical game. Like I remember that I played it as a kid, but that's it. So, and then I'm a member of a lot of Facebook groups for retro gamers in Scandinavia, and once in a while the game pops up. So I was in this situation like, okay, so we're going to work on like this mythical game. this expensive gem that everyone wants to play, but no one can afford.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then when I was back, we tried the game. We started the work, and that was also like in conjunction when Embracer announced that they acquired us and Tatsujin, the IP holder of the Toaplan games.
Yes.
So like in a couple of days, we had to like form a plan to announce both Gimmick and Toaplan without knowing when they would be out.
Wow.
So that was interesting and hectic, but it was super fun. We made like an awesome trailer. And we just like, I remember the tweet when we announced Gimmick. It was, we grew with almost 1,000 followers on X, former Twitter.
Just off the back of this old NES game that really only Japanese and Scandinavian people had ever even heard of. And now you were going to push this thing worldwide.
Yeah, but it's actually really huge in the US because it's so hard to find a cartridge.
They go chasing those demons, don't they?
They do. So that was really fun, and we released it in July this year. Finally, took almost a year, but it's out. It's out there, and I think that's awesome.
Are you happy to be done with it though? Now you're looking forward to the next Toaplan game.
Yeah, I mean, like it's always a special feeling when you've been working on something for so long, and now it's over. But at the same time, we have like so many projects in the making, so there's always something new to do. Like for example, like the other week we released 4 Toaplan games, and we are already working on the next batch.
I think on one of our normal episodes, we do what we call Stingray's Boot. Long story, but the compressed version is this guy called Stingray used to come around and sell us DVDs and games out the boot of his Nissan Bluebird. And now we use them as the medium to review this week's new releases. And there was one week where you guys basically owned his boot.
Nice.
Everything I pulled out was just covered in your stickers. Let's get to that then, because Toaplan, Japanese company, founded in 1979. Their gaming division began in 1984. Some absolutely iconic up-screen shooters, tote shooters, call them what you like, within that. And then obviously, being part of the Embracer group, they extended their tendrils and wrapped them around what was a holding company, which I think you referred to earlier, was Tatsujin, which owned the rights to these games. I don't know how these things happen. It's like, I think a camera company owns the rights to one of the Mario characters because it was in that sort of Doki Doki Panic or whatever it was called. And that's why we've never seen that awesome character ever again. Like, Tatsujin becomes part of the Embracer group. It unlocks a veritable chest of goodness. What made you guys, out of all of the developers within the Embracer group, and especially within your sort of small pocket, go, actually, do you know what? All that 80s tat, that's a real piece of us. This is give us all this. This is what we want to do for the next at least 5 years.
Oh, now I really wish I had my coworker here. But so how we got to start on the Toaplan. So, like for starters, Tatsujin was formed by staff from Toaplan.
Like a management buyout, so to speak.
So to speak. So it's like it's Yugi-san, it's Uemura-san, it's Kusaka-san. So it's like the old gang.
Yeah,
they started Tatsujin and they acquired their games again, and then they got acquired by Embracer. But
they thought they were having a good day, then they got bought out. Andreas, savage.
so how we got into it, this is also really nice because the guy who's like the main programmer, called Henrik, he's one of I think one of 2 people, 3 people. He might correct me when he hear this, but they were the first in the world to emulate the Toaplan games like 25 years ago. Wow. He made it as a hobby project. He's been in the industry for I don't know. Hold on.
Does he have a girlfriend?
He has.
Wow.
But he's a rock star. He's been around for forever. But he actually got a call from a guy called Martin, who is part of Embracer. And Martin told him that we have just acquired Tatsujin, and I know that you was one of the first that emulated Toaplan back in the day. So do you want to do the work again? But this time we release them like for real. And he was like, sure. So the games that we are releasing on PC, they're based on a new version of this same emulator that came to be 25 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Some changes, one would presume, to try and bring it up to modern code for the systems that it's running on, I presume. But all in all, that central emulation is that core emulation he made 25 years ago. It was that good.
Yeah, the Shark emulator.
He is, as you say. I asked if he had a girlfriend rather disingenuously, only because he was, he's obviously a full nerd.
He is.
I don't know how he finds time to be a rock star of the gaming industry and dedicate to a partner, but that's why he's a rock star, I presume.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's been working on, I think, like one of his first games was like back in the like Amiga era. Way back. So it's super cool to like hear his stories. And he one of his biggest dreams was to work with the Toaplan crew, and now he's doing that. But with Tatsujin then, but it's still Yugi-san.
Everyone's meeting their heroes. Gimmick, Toaplan. Everyone's getting this full sort of circle completion. Who's your dream? Who's your dream? Who's Embracer going to acquire so you can live that childhood dream? Who would it be?
That would be Capcom, because someone needs to remake.
That's a big ask, Andreas.
Someone needs to remake Dino Crisis. I've been saying this for 20 years now.
How would you do it, though? Would you do it full HD 4K visuals, camera can move around, or would you lock it and give people almost like an updated version of those sort of PS1 graphics? How would you fulfill that dream?
I would use the same engine they used for the Resident Evil remakes.
2 and 3?
Yes.
Wow, that is bold. That is.
But I find it so weird that they haven't done it already, since like dinosaurs has been like super popular since like the first Jurassic World movie. It's so weird.
Stick a dinosaur on it, guaranteed to sell hotcakes.
Right? And I mean, like a survival horror with dinosaurs. I mean, what could go wrong? It worked in the 90s, so it should work now. That's my pitch.
That works for every other gaming franchise out there. Your pitch is strong. I like it. I didn't know whether because you were such a fan of it, you kind of wanted to have that sort of retain that iconic, because there's something about the forced perspective camera that obviously builds dread. When you can pan the camera around 360 around the in-game character, you kind of lose that. Well, don't get me wrong, those remakes still pretty scary, to be fair. But you lose that kind of fear factor because there was something about those tank controls, and there was something about being locked in that camera angle that kind of made it all a little bit more harder to navigate, and therefore a little bit like my story of Luigi and his boat when I sucked instead of blew. That was pretty much summed me up in the original Resident Evils and Dino Crisis. I found them quite hard to navigate, but you see that as just being just the technology of the era, and now you want to revisit in full 4K.
Yeah, I would love that. That would be amazing. I mean, they could also like make a new release of the old games. I don't really care. I just want to play Dino Crisis on modern platforms. That's all I'm
just get him his dinosaurs, for goodness sake.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I'm asking for. Come on.
I don't even think that's that much, if I'm honest.
No.
You seem like a very humble guy. If the only thing you're literally on your knees screaming and begging for is a new version of Dino Crisis,
you
don't want for a lot. Minimalist lifestyle.
I mean, if you scroll through my Twitter, I mention like Dino Crisis quite often. I'm one of those.
At least you stick to your values.
I do.
Do you still own a PlayStation 1 or Dino Crisis, or would you emulate that these days?
No, I don't own Dino Crisis yet, but I have a PlayStation 1 that has been heavily modded. So it has HDMI output.
Anything else in there when you say heavily modded, or is this the distance of your mods for this thing? That's not an understated mod, by the way. But is there anything else purring away under the hood of this PS1? Is it got the SD card in it, or is that it?
No, it also got the SD card because when I bought it, the disk drive was broken, so I got it for cheap. So I thought might as well just do a project out of it. But I don't want to like do the illegal way and download a ROM. I'd rather like buy a copy of the games and make a copy out of that and run it on my console, because then I own the games without with the convenience of digital.
The white knight of retro gaming. Listen, I admire you, and that's the sort of cat I am as well. A lot of people would have just dumped every single ROM on that SD card and give it the major flex in the menu as they scroll through every single game. 3D Army Heroes, a game they're never going to play, but they've put it on the SD card anyway because it looks good. You're only acquiring the games that you've got. That's good. I think, if I may, I've got a little distracted here. Toaplan.
Yeah, Toaplan.
You got your new series coming out. Tell me everything about that everybody needs to know. The gamers at home, maybe some facts that we don't know about it already. And is it available on Steam? Steam only at the moment?
It's on Steam and it's on GOG. And it's Slap Fight, it's Hellfire, it's Fire Shark, and it's Flying Shark. So it's a mix of old and even older. But it's 4 great games. I think it's a really good mix. Hellfire is especially awesome, I think, because I remember the Mega Drive version. To be honest, I'm like, before we started on the Toaplan project, I wasn't that much of a shmup guy, but I've learned to appreciate the games.
I'm just not that good at games, Andreas.
You're not?
Not good enough to play one of those.
They have features to make them easier, you know?
Okay. What, the computer playing it for you? Because that's about the only thing that would work for me.
Almost. But you can rewind, you can slow down, you can quick save.
Now we're talking. So you can... This is my kind of shoot 'em up. This is aimed at people like me that we're not very good at them, but we see the bigger boys playing them and talking about them, and we want to feel like we're part of that scene. So for people like me, saves, run me through those features again, Andres, because they're actually game-changing as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, let's go see. It's rewind. So if you die, you can rewind.
Is there a limit to that or no?
I think I don't really remember, but I think it's 18 minutes. You can rewind back.
Oh, okay, but you can do it as many times as you like, but your maximum rewind is 18 minutes.
As many times as you like.
I might even finish one of these bad boys one day if I had that ability. That's fantastic. What else have we got in the suite of not very good gamers helping aids?
You can slow down. So if there's too many bullets, you can just slow down.
Because that's the one thing. Bullet hell is literal bullet hell for me. And my brain can't work quick enough to calculate the path I need to take through those very small projectiles. I've had a similar experience, but in reverse on Vampire Survivors. Have you played that?
No, but I've seen people at work playing it.
These scoundrels. You're slugging your guts out and they're playing Vampire Survivors. Blimey neck. You go in tomorrow with the Xbox on your back and go full Starfield. And if anyone even looks at you, slap Vampire Survivors straight clean out the mouth.
Is it hard?
No, not. I thought it would be. But it's the reverse. You're kind of the bullet, and they're the kind of that would be the way I would
Oh.
describe it. So when you're picking the path, you're kind of trying to nibble at them as you go. So I've almost become at one with the concept. Let's not get too distracted. I was going to say, forgive me this slight dalliance, if I may. In the UK, when it was the last day of term, you sometimes at primary school, so circa between the ages of 5 and 10, at the end of a term, say summer or Christmas, or whenever you're taking a bunch of holiday, you would be allowed to go in, not in uniform per se, also take a toy, and there'd be a little bit of a party. I'm seeing this 10th anniversary tomorrow, and you have my authority to do this. Is a bit of a take a toy in day. Okay. So I can see kind of clearing your desk off, sack off all this drivel here, set your Xbox up, have a few cans. I'm thinking probably 10 o'clock is a reasonable time for a Swedish man to drink at a party day. We're taking jelly as well. If you know, do you have jelly in Sweden?
Jelly shots?
No. We were kids, Andreas. What is wrong with you?
I mean, you're from UK. You have bars everywhere. Who knows?
Well, we do, but not in schools. And not the ones I went to anyway. Jelly is basically jelly. Jelly is the non-alcoholic jelly shot, and you would normally make these in like sort of molds that would be interesting for a child to eat. A little bit of fake cream on there. I can't remember the name of it. No one even drinks it anymore. It's that foul, but you'd probably put some carnation cream on there. It's absolutely gopping. But that's the sort of thing that happened on last days. I see this tomorrow, a bit like that. So you've got if I wrote you a note, took a picture of it, who would I need to address it to?
I mean, you poke me. Just poke me. You haven't been to a game developer's office before, right? Because we have toys everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the studio here. I'm surrounded by currently loads of Nintendo tat. I want to imagine that you're surrounded by the very highest quality gaming tat, though. Tell me some of the toys on your desk. What's your favorite one?
Oh, I got a ton of toys on my desk, but I would say like my Jurassic Park figurine is probably my favorite. It's like, the iconic scene from the first movie where like the T-Rex like grabs a raptor and just throws it around.
Yeah.
That's on my desk.
If you're into all that, forgive me, here we go. We were discussing the Toaplan Volume Shmup 2's features to help someone like me play a game. But now we're going to go down this side road because I can't leave it alone. Do you have any fondness? Nay, do you collect the Kenner Jurassic Park original release toys?
I don't, but I want. But it's I have so many expensive hobbies. Like photography is super expensive.
Get that gone. You need the Kenner toys.
Retro gaming is so expensive. Like I also collect vinyls, which is also expensive.
Do you? What sort of vinyls do you plump for?
Oh, like rock music, gaming soundtracks, Swedish pop rock.
What?
A mix.
What does that involve?
I would say it involves like a super famous Swedish band called Kent.
That's not the one I thought you were going to say.
Oh, what do you think I was going to say?
I thought ABBA were from Sweden.
ABBA, yeah. ABBA, but ABBA is not rock.
Now I'm embarrassed. What is it then?
Kent is like they're like an indie rock band, and they're very inspired by like the British like Britpop.
Oh, okay. So we're talking 90s.
Yeah, they're really good, and I have some like heavy metal albums as well. I think I have about 100 records at the moment, so it's a lot.
You've kind of dashed my dreams. I was hoping we were going to end the show singing out in a cappella form on Super Trooper, but you've kind of popped that balloon for me, which is It's a little bit unfortunate.
I'm so sorry, but I like IKEA, if that helps.
Let's get them out of the way right now. What car do you drive?
I don't even have a driver's license.
Wow. Okay. Let's put Volvo in the bin. You like IKEA?
Yeah.
Do you like Minecraft?
Yeah, I like Minecraft.
What? Do you though, genuinely?
Yeah, I do. But I don't play it anymore, but I used to play it a lot.
Did you play it creatively or did you chase the dragon in the story?
I just played creatively, just building shit.
I tell you one thing. It's a very hard game. When you actually want to do the story, it's a very hard game. I did a stream on it on our YouTube. I called it the Zero Death Run, but that's not actually true because I think I died at least 5 times an episode. And what about your greatest export, PewDiePie? Are you related to him? Have you seen him recently?
I haven't seen him recently, but he's from Gothenburg, where I live. So I know I think his parents still lives here. I wish I've met him when I was editor-in-chief at Eurogamer. We actually tried to get an interview with him, but failed because he was too busy.
How dare he?
Yeah, right.
Now he lives in Japan as well, so he's done the ultimate, like, I don't want to, but he's gone, and he's out there. He's celebrity.
Yeah, he's like retired. I think he's just making videos for fun nowadays.
Yeah. Fair play to him. He's I don't know him personally, but my impression has always been he's a very humble chap. And I have always seen that as a hallmark of your fine country. I actually spent some of my formative years there skiing.
Oh,
my family used to take me in the very early 80s. Other children used to go say, "Oh, I'm off skiing, darling." Yeah, so I went skiing this season. Yeah. Oh, where did you go? Downhill? No, my family are into cross country skiing. It's not probably quite as glamorous as the après ski you're used to. It was basically a very long walk through very cold conditions in the snow with planks strapped to your feet. I don't think I could appreciate the beauty of that experience at the time, Andreas, but now I can. But no, I'd probably rather do it in a video game.
Yeah, because it's more safe.
Yeah. Now we've got all that out of the way. We've got all of that out of the way, the Swedish stereotypes. Let's get back to the features. So we had slowdown, we had rewind. What else are you going to give someone like me to help me through this maze of bullets?
We have quick saves.
Oh, that's good. That's very generous of you, actually. Because I've recently, as I said to you, picked up the Switch. And within there, if you get the Nintendo Switch Online expansion, you get access to the NES, SNES, N64, all that good gubbins. But they give you save states.
Mm-hmm.
Give you save states.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's something quite special. I presume you could, in conjunction with the rewind feature, if you died, rewind to a point in time where you were happy, you were alive, you had some power-ups.
Yeah.
Save state there. This is possible, isn't it?
It is.
I might even finish one of these. Mummy, fire up the 286 PC. We're gonna get the Toaplan on the 4. Yeah, we might need the 486 for this bad boy, but we're gonna make it work. Get the Steam account revived. With all that said and done, what, pray tell, if you can, give us a little sniff of what's on the horizon? Because obviously, you get behind the game and you pump it. Obviously, this volume 2 is imminently on us. What's your next pony you're going to ride out the Bitwave stable?
It's like 4 out of 8 games, and that's all I can say.
Oh wow!
Yep.
Now, when we talked about the first pack, I do believe that we listed the games separately because although they're a pack, you are available to buy them individually as well.
Yep.
Just as a bit of consumer news, if someone bought one and went, "Oh, I'm into this," and then went back and got the pack, would it cancel that out at a discounted price, or is that they should have just gone all in to start with?
I think that I'm not sure, so someone can just please correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't think you get a discount afterwards
Okay.
because the system is like based on Steam's bundles. So you
Yes.
can discount if you get all 4 of them, but you can also buy them separately. So I'm not sure if you get a discount. Maybe you will, but I'm not sure.
Someone let us know in the community corrections on the Discord. I'm sure someone will steer us right on that one. Although I get away with some of my rather strange things that you've already heard me say, and no one picks me up for them, Andreas. So, no doubt someone will pick me up for Toaplan in there somewhere. With all that said and done, I think that's, if it's okay with you, that's where we're going to rest it there. I feel like very grateful for you to come on. Very insightful journey. I'm also fired up about you clearing your desk clean into a bin tomorrow and just setting up your TV. You brought your TV from home. You brought your Switch. You couldn't find any jelly because it's Sweden, so you bought 15 Jello shots to get you through the experience. And you're allowed. You can give someone. Do you have the phrase "dead arm" in Sweden? At school, if you got a little bit of a shy punch on the arm from one of the bigger boys, it would give you a dead arm, and they'd be like, "You've got a dead arm." Is that something you guys are aware of?
Yeah, but not dead arm.
What do you call it?
I think we would say like en död arm, which is translation to Swedish dead arm, död arm. But I remember you asked the question that I haven't answered yet.
What is it?
You asked me how many games I have released during my Bitwave, and the answer is 11 games.
11?
11 games.
Including the broken down Toaplan within the packs?
Yes.
Plus Gimmick, plus Wonderling. What are the other titles, or is that it?
There is another title that is very hidden. It's a hidden gem. It's called Cow Dash.
We love a hidden gem here. We have a section dedicated to them. I was just picking up my pencil from when I did my clear desk routine earlier. I threw my pencil on the floor, Andreas. Cow Dash. Tell me about that.
So Cow Dash is actually the original Wunderling. So that it's like one of the first games that Niklas made many years ago. The mechanics are like Wunderling. One could say a Wunderling is Cow Dash 2.0. So it's super basic, and you play as a cow, and you collect vegetables, and you need to jump into a portal by the end of the game, and that's basically it.
Where does the portal take a cow?
To the next level. It's like in Wunderling. In Wunderling, the portal takes you to the next level. That is
a savage and a relentless grind for such a wonderful-looking bovine, if I may say.
But the funny thing about I don't know if you played Wunderling yet.
No, I've peered enviously at the trailer, but I'm waiting for my pocket money to come through.
So when you do, you will see that there's a cow in the game called Dash, and that's the same cow that is the main character in Cow Dash.
Can we create a little bit of lore now? He kept moving in Cow Dash from portal to portal to only find himself portaling into Wunderling, and there he is trapped forever.
Kind of. Oh well, it's a cow, not a bull.
To be honest, Andreas, I didn't want to assume this bovine's gender. It's dangerous.
Yeah, but there's a lot of clues in Wunderling about Dash's background. Because, and everyone just keeps asking, because at the office we have cow figurines, and people tends to ask why cows. It's because it's Niklas' favorite animal, and no one really knows why, but he likes cows, and that's why a cow got its own game and is one of the main characters in Wunderling.
Hey, listen, if you want to get yourself in with the big guy, why don't you get him a custom painted Nes in cow colours?
Oh,
with a mint in box copy of Gimmick.
He would love that.
Then you could play Starfield all day at your desk tomorrow.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So you could fashion a NES out of plastic, paint it, take it in, almost like taking an apple for teacher. I give you this, therefore I'm going to get drunk and play this game all day. You can join me or not. It's your choice.
I think I have to fake the gimmick though, because like if you were about to buy gimmick, like a mint condition gimmick, it would cost you, I don't know the amount in pounds, but like $4,200 ish.
If you're listening now, he doesn't like you that much. He likes you enough to fake it.
Yep.
But he doesn't like you enough to give you the real one. Fair play.
So yeah, but I'm glad because he already has gimmick, like 2 versions of gimmick. He has both the Scandinavian and the Japanese.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, because he's such a nerd.
Full nerd. What an absolute nerd. That's nerdy than even doing a podcast about games. That's full nerd.
That's so cool.
I'm sure we've all got dark retro treasures in our cupboards that we probably don't want to talk about. I'd love to have you back on to talk about your darkest retro secret one day, Andreas. But I think we've covered off everything. Is there anything other than that we need to cover off in terms of our chat today about Bitwave Games, other than basically wherever you can find their games? Gimmick and Wonderling are on Switch. Everything else is on Steam and other platforms, one presumes?
Yeah, Steam and GOG for Toaplan. Gimmick is out on Switch, Steam, PlayStation, Xbox. Wunderling is out on Steam and Switch.
Yeah. What I would say to everyone listening now is if you don't own at least one digital copy of every single one of Bitwave's games, are you even a gamer? Right? Are you even a gamer? Don't even look at me unless you own every single one at least twice. With all that said and done, I must say thank you very, very much for coming on. Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you what you're hoping to play, but I just want to take the time to say thank you to you and everyone at Bitwave. You've been very kind to us, offering us the chance to have a conversation. You've dedicated your 1 hour ahead of us. So you've dedicated your evening when you could be playing Sea of Stars or getting your room Starfield ready. I don't know, instead of wasting time making a NES out of paper mache, you can make yourself a space helmet, right? That probably be a better waste of your time. But instead of doing that, on the eve of Starfield, you've come on to talk to a rather eccentric Englishman on this fine podcast, which I'm very grateful for extending us the time. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. And I want to wish you and Bitwave the absolute best. You certainly deserve it. And I hope you all have an absolutely cracking party tomorrow. Best to unplug the photocopier and hide it somewhere, though, because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
you know what's going to happen, and you don't want to wake up tomorrow to that.
Thanks for having me. I mean, it was a blast. It was super fun, and I mean, just like poke me anytime. I would love to be on the show more times.
Okay. Well, before you slip out the door, I've got to ask you what you're hoping to play for this gaming week, Andreas. And what games are you looking to get stuck into?
I think I'm going to continue with Sea of Stars.
Do you think that's going to be able to even grab your attention, though, when you've got Starfield burning a hole in your Xbox hard drive?
And that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay. Right. Well, what is there anything else that you think might pique your interest? Maybe a palette cleanser between Sea of Stars and Starfield? There's a lot of stars going on there, if you don't mind me saying. Are you a fan of space?
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. So yeah.
Me too. In an alternate universe somewhere, we're flying around in a dirty space freighter, hauling some space dust, playing our retro video games at the cockpit. I don't think we're going to be in hyperspace. I think we're just solar system, like space truckers, you and I, Andreas. That's how I see it.
Probably.
What am I hoping to play? Do you know what? I might have a little look at Starfield myself. It looks very interesting. I threaten Sea of Stars. I'm going to probably cry myself to sleep over that section in the basement of Luigi's Mansion 3. And I think that's probably enough stress for everyone. It actually gave me anxiety last night when I was playing it. Actual anxiety.
You know what? You should just take a break and play some Toaplan games, because they are more frustrating than the part in Luigi's Mansion. I can promise you that.
I don't know how it works in Sweden, but normally if something's really frustrating, you don't move to something even more frustrating.
Yeah, because then the former one feels more easy.
You know, this is the sort of thing I expect from people that go out in the snow and then get in a sauna. That would kill me. Stone dead. That change in temperature, I don't even know what I would be. I'll be in tears.
We're drunk when we do that, so we cannot feel the cold.
That explains an awful lot about my childhood youth on those skiing adventures. That's for sure. With all that said and done, once again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and thank you for gracing this mere lowly show with your presence. It's been absolutely wonderful. We're going to put all the links in our Discord channel, and I'll put the links to your Steam store in the description of the show when it goes out. For all those listening now, it's Sunday afternoon. Hope you well. Hopefully, Andreas survived the 10-year anniversary. If you're listening now, Andreas, hope your head doesn't hurt. Still. And you've got some hours in on Starfield. With all that said and done, thank you once again. Absolutely joyous to get to know you. Are you on any of the social medias, Instagram or anything like that as yourself, in your person that you would like to share, or would you rather remain anonymous?
No, I mean, people feel free to follow me at Shutter Andreas. Shutter like in a camera shutter. Shutter Andreas.
Is this where you store all of your not safe for work shots?
Exactly.
You're Swedish as well. I'm going to be heading there like a I don't know, like an angry man on a moped that's got to get somewhere quickly. And on that, what can only be described as a two-wheel nightmare. That's all we have time for this week, listeners. As always, thank you for your time. We look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. See you, Andreas.
See ya.